Hello everybody, my name is Tim. I'm making this video today to talk about all the strange events that's been happening in my house lately. Actually, you shouldn't say lately, it's always happened, and it's always happened to me. But as of late, it's been getting a lot worse, and I'll get into that here shortly, but maybe I should give a quick background about how I have been, my entire life, been somewhat sensitive and to ghostly type things, if you believe in that type of stuff. Just to be quick about it, whenever I was a little boy, in my bedroom, the way the light shined from the hallway, there was always a face in my door. It was a calming face. There was nothing bad about it. And I remember just as a little boy just staring at it at nighttime to fall asleep. And I always would think that was my guardian angel looking over me. And most of the time it was there, sometimes it wasn't. And I really didn't think much of it as a little kid. Just maybe my guardian angel was somewhere else guarding somebody else. Maybe he had two people he was watching, who knows. But then we moved years later to another house. And that same situation happened again. That just by the way the door was and the light coming from in the kitchen, I could always still see this face in the door. And again, it was nothing bad. It was a very calming face. It had like, the brow, was real defined. The eye image had a mustache, squared jaw, some sort of lobes you could see, but it wasn't nothing bad. I just remember just looking at it every single night to fall asleep, and it was comforting to know that in my head, that was the guardian angel looking over, making sure everything's okay, me and my family or whatever. And then weird things started happening at that particular house. I remember the one time my dad and I were in the other room and I heard my dog barking, and we run into the room and there's my dog growling, hair up on the back of its neck, just growling under my bed. And out from under the bed comes my remote control car. Now the remote control car, this was the one back in the 80s. They were just crap or whatever, but the rechargeable batteries weren't even in the car. The remote wasn't nowhere near me, and the thing come out from underneath my bed, did 3 circles, come and bounced off from my foot, and then backed up straight underneath my bed. And the entire time my dog is going nuts. I'm trying to hold him back. My dad instantly just grabbed the thing, said it was just a piece of garbage. Somehow he couldn't explain how it worked without the batteries, but he just threw it away, and that was the end of that. And then, so things like that always would happen to me. Just I can go on for hours about just the strange things that happened, but I'll try to keep it relatively short. So then we moved again to another house in Carnegie. And nothing really strange happened too much there when I'm referring to the guy at the door. But whenever I got my first place, whenever I moved out, same type of situation. On the door, I remember there's that face again. And again, I was actually kind of happy about it. Hey, there's my guardian angel still looking after me. I'm in my early 20s at this point. But this time, the face was angry looking. It was different. It was like almost like it was angry. The facial expression was different, and it was really bothersome to me. But it wasn't there every night. It would be there just a couple of times a month, and each time it was there, it was just a little different, And it got to the point it freaked me out so much that I painted the door, because all these doors I'm referring to were just wooden doors, and you can see the grain in them. That freaked me out that much, so I just painted it and never seen it again. And then my wife and I bought a house off of her grandfather. Now at this point, 3 people had died in the house. And in the house we always considered was haunted. We would always hear doors rattling and just things in the other room. And the one time, whenever I was working on a house before we actually moved in, we had a big closet, or carry cabinet, I guess, that was built into the walls in a late 1800s, early 1900s, whenever this house was built. And I cleaned everything off of the shelf. I was the only one working in the house. I was the only one that had a key. And I wiped everything off of these shelves. And I left for a couple of days. Couldn't get back to work on the house. And I remember this particular day, I'm walking across the street and walking to the house, and the whole front door was just shaking. And I remember standing in the yard, felt like an idiot. People, who knows what the people thought. They're driving past. I'm standing in front of my house, talking to my house, saying, I'm not in the mood for this today. I have a lot of work to do. I'm just not in the mood. Don't do this today. So I go into the house, and on this closet carrier cabinet thing built into the wall, I know I cleared everything off. There was nothing in this thing. My last name is Welsh. And out of nowhere, on the middle shelf, sitting right there, eye level, plain as day, it was this big pin that had my last name on it. I have no idea where it came from. I didn't see it. Of course, I would have done something with it, if I'd have found a pin with my name on it in the new house that I bought. And I asked everybody on my wife's side of the family if they've ever seen this pin, any idea where it came from. And they lived in this house their entire lives. Nobody has any idea where this pin came from. But it just depends, so we saved it, and we just chopped it up. We have a dumb story to tell people. And but things always happened in the house. Doors opening, closing, and just the dishwasher. They love the dishwasher. I say they. I'm guessing it's more than one, because at this point there's 3 people who died in this house. And they loved the dishwasher. Open the door up all the time, and the dishwasher would kick on. And it got to the point where I actually had to tape the dishwasher door closed, because if you just open it up just a little bit, the motor will run. I'm going to burn my dishwasher out. And I jokingly say, if you're going to be here, you better not, ruin my dishwasher. So we always kept everything lighthearted in the house. You hear bumping at night and whatnot, and you just chalk it up. Oh, they're restless down there. But then there's other times where it gets a lot worse. There's a few times where my son would come into the bedroom. Dad, they're making so much noise downstairs, I can't sleep. So I have to physically yell down the steps, hey, shut up. We have to go to work. We got to get up in the morning. Just quit it. You're going to, and of course, then we always had the doors opening, and one time a glass flew across the room, smashed off the table, and cut my son's chest up a little bit. And then you'd have quiet times, where a month or two nothing would happen, and then it would just start all over again. And over the summer, just an example, over the summer, me and my son sitting in the living room, and he's on his skateboard, just standing on it, about 10 feet from me, and his tennis shoes are to my right, and his shoes just moved for something, just not a whole lot, maybe 2-3 inches. And we both looked at each other like, did you see that? Now at this point, we're used to having weird things happen in the house, so we're not freaking out and whatnot. It's just them again making themselves known. And then on the other couch to the left, his PlayStation controller's there. His PlayStation controller slid all the way across the couch, got to the very end of the couch as if it was going to fall, and then turned one more time so it wouldn't fall. And we both just looked at each other like, we both seeing this? And we just kind of, we're kind of used to living this way, and of course nobody believes you whenever you tell them this stuff, or they laugh about it. You got a ghost in the house, and keep it lighthearted. And we kind of did too, which is it's just joking. We got, I always say, I'm going to start charging these guys rent for, you're going to live here, help with the electric bill or whatever. But now this summer's when things really started getting bad. Unfortunately, I had a very good friend of mine pass away on my couch. And after he passed away, things started getting a lot more involved, you might say. This is when, to me, things start really getting really weird. I would find myself asleep, but not asleep. Like I'm laying in bed and I can hear my phone. I can look around the room. I know I'm in my room, but the room has like a heaviness to it. But I also know that I'm not completely awake. But it's so hard to describe. And of course, nobody believes you, so you don't really talk too much about it. But I can look around the room, and I'm in my room. And do you ever laying on the couch or on the bed or something, you can feel somebody push down on the bed, and you move a little bit? Well, that started happening, when I was in this phase of not asleep but asleep, and that would happen once or twice a night. And then it got a little bit more where I'm laying there and I can tell I'm in this weird phase again. Now I'm kind of used to being in this phase. I'm recognizing in whatever state that I'm in this not sleep, not awake, that crap, I'm here again. And I can feel a couple times I felt something blow on my neck and whatnot. And after like the fifth or sixth night in a row, I'm pretty irritated. I can't get no sleep. My kids and my wife are sleeping downstairs. Nobody wants to go upstairs because all the things are bouncing off the drum set. We're seeing orbs everywhere. I was videoing my wife play the drums, and I'm physically looking at her. There's no orbs. And I look through my phone, and they're just flying in and out through the drum set, just freaking everywhere. So in any event, so one night I'm laying in bed, and I'm irritated because I can't get no sleep because this thing keeps waking me up every night. And once again, boom, I'm in this weird phase of not asleep but asleep. So I get mad. I start saying, who is this? What do you want? I'm sick of all this. What do you want? And I hear the name of my buddy who passed away ever so slightly in the back. No way. I gotta be hearing shit or no way. Then I hear it again. And then I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, And this is, I started asking him, did you go to your family? Is this really you? I hear my son's name. And then after that, I just snapped out of it. I got up and I started walking around the room, and I seen the light on in my son's bedroom. It's like midnight, and I want to go in and I want to tell him what just happened. I just heard his name come from Mike. Well, it turns out my son had snuck out of the house. And so I called him at midnight, found out where he was at, snuck out to go play video games. So I get in the car, I run over there, I go to grab him. And now at this point, I'm not even paying attention to the ghost and whatnot. I'm just giving him the business end of, how dare you sneak out of the house? And I'm being a father. I'm pretty pissed off, giving him the business end all the way home. When we pull up in front of the house, and I tell him, who ratted you out? Mike. If I didn't hear him say your name, I never would have looked in your room, and I'd have never known you snuck out of the house. So then I gave him and my wife the story about what had just happened, and of course they don't want to come upstairs. So as I'm walking up the steps, I'm saying out loud. Now I'm wide awake at this point, obviously. I just drove a car, and I'm, screaming mad about my son sneaking on. I walk in and I say, if it's really you, come back. If it's really you, come back. I want to see you. You just got to let me wrap my brain around this, because is this really you who's been coming and seeing me and poking at me and blowing on my neck? And come back. So this was about 12:30ish, 1 o'clock whenever I said this. I remember about 3:30, bam, here I am again. I'm in that weird phase of not asleep but asleep. And I see this silhouette come through the wall, and I can tell instantly it's my buddy Mike, just by the way his stupid head would shake, and he had this really gaunt the way he walked. I freaking love the guy so much. It sucks that he's not here. But I know it was him. So I'm physically crawling across my bed now with my hands up saying, Mike, I can't believe it's you. I miss you so much. Dude, have you seen Amanda and the kids? And whenever his eyes met mine, I got a good look at his face. Oh, it was awful. His skin was like a yellow or a grayish blue, greenish type tint, and his eyes were all sunken in. And he just looked really, really bad. And whenever our eyes made contact, it was like I scared him, and his mouth opened up, like a little bit of a noise came out, but I don't know, but like I said, the whole time I got like, dude, I can't believe it's you. Yeah, I don't care if your face is all boogered up, come here, I got my hands out, and like I said, our eyes made contact, and he just screamed and just faded back into the wall. And the whole time I'm saying, dude, don't leave. Don't leave, come back. And so that was that night. And then a couple days later, I'm working in my son's room. I'm by myself. I'm thinking about all this. I'm like, is it really Mike? Or am I just going crazy? Like drinking too much? Or what the hell's going on? And you really don't want to tell anybody about shit like this because nobody's going to believe you. I don't even know if you people watching this even believe me. This guy's crazy. Who's this idiot? But I'm working in my son's room, and I say, all right, if there's somebody here, come see me tonight. Come see me. Tell me what you want. And Mike, if it's you, go to the light, do something, whatever. So, once again, bam, like clockwork, I'm in that weird phase of not awake, I'm not sleeping. Now, I don't know if I'm 47, so I don't know if anybody remembers back in the 80s where people used to wear their baseball caps. They just looked different. They were like straight up and over, and they were like stupid as shit, but that's how we wore them back in the 80s. I turn and I look on my bed, and I can tell it's a man by the girth of the shoulders. I really couldn't see anything on his face or like that, but I can tell it's a man and got like old beat up camos on and like a ripped shirt, and he was trying to climb into my bed, and I just freaked out. I'm like, whoa, you can't be here, you have to go somewhere else, you cannot stay here. And then whenever I jumped up is when I woke up completely. And a couple of days later, there was this whole issue with I woke up to some little girl standing beside me. I immediately start freaking out, and she says, don't worry, we're all here. What the hell do you mean you're all here? Who are you, and what do you mean you're all here? You can't be here, And I actually had like a small conversation with this thing, and I'm really freaking out, and she's telling me about these bubbles that were coming down from the ceiling. What the hell were those things? And she says, don't bother with those things. They'll hurt you. They just look like when little kids blow bubbles together, how they stick together and they're floating down. And I can hear my wife yelling my name, wake up, wake up. And I remember pointing at my wife saying, I'm talking to somebody, hold on a second. And I return to go back to tell these little girls that you can't be here anymore. Wherever you have to go, you can't stay here. And then my wife woke me up, saying, you're yelling at somebody. So then that was the last thing that happened up until about 3 or 4 nights ago. A couple of nights ago, I'm laying on the couch, and I have this uncontrollable urge to swing my arm. I have to grab something for some reason. I don't know why, but I had this uncontrollable urge I had to grab something, and I was just swinging at air. And again, I'm in that weird phase. I'm not sleeping, but I'm not awake. But with me moving my arms around, woke me up completely. So I kind of go back to sleep again, thinking, crap, this shit starting all over again. And it's a little bit funny, I guess, but I remember just sitting asleep, and I just felt somebody poke me right between the forehead, right in the middle of the forehead, a plink, And I tell my wife about, hey, last night somebody was here, shit starting over again, poked me in the forehead. We kind of laughed about it, like a nervous laugh, like, oh shit, here we go again. And then last night, this is where it gets starting to get a little crazier. My niece is staying with me. And I come down the steps, and she's sitting up, just staring into the kitchen. So what's going on? She says, I could have swore I just seen somebody walk through the kitchen. And I come from upstairs, and I said, well, it's really not unheard of in this house. It's very possible. She knows the story. All the family knows the story. And that was about it. And then this morning, I got up. My wife says to me, what was you doing in the basement last night? I said, I wasn't in the basement last night. What the hell are you talking about? She says the basement door kept rattling. And as she's telling me that, she starts grabbing her leg. She says, what the hell was this? She's like, my leg is burning so bad. She stood up. She got these scratches from the top of her leg all the way down. It just looks, I don't want to say claw marks, but it almost looks like claw marks, and we don't have any animal. We don't have a dog or cat, nothing. And she went to bed last night. She didn't have these scratches all over her legs. So that's where we're at with this, and it's getting worse. Seeing shit now, it's getting to the point where it's poking me and it's scratching people. I don't know if it's going to get any worse. I don't know why they're here. We're not. We go to. We're not the most religious people on the planet, but we go to church. We got crucifixes everywhere. We say our daily prayers. We're not bad people. We're not out robbing anybody, and just I don't know why it's happening. I don't know if it's something that I brought in from that's been chasing me around my entire life with the band in the door, or if it's something totally unrelated. But this is what we're going through. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If anybody has any advice or a comment or anything that we could possibly do to remedy this whole thing, I would love to hear anybody's input. Once again, thank you for watching.